Today I want to talk about safety. I think safety correlates with the type of axe and the handle size you're using. So I'm going to go through the different sizes that I have and that I commonly use. So first would be a hatchet. Hatchets are actually possibly more dangerous. Now, if you get clipped with an axe, no matter where, you could bleed out. It's very dangerous. And you could also get an infection. You don't want a serious injury with any of these tools. But the reason why I say this could be more dangerous is because when you swing it yourself, you're possibly aiming at a major area of your leg where you will bleed out. You will not survive unless you seek medical attention or have a tourniquet in a quick amount of time. How we mitigate that is the same as with axes. We try not to be in line with the work. So if I'm carving this, I want the axe to go here. I don't want to be in line with that. You see I'm in line with that now? I just move a little bit, or what I do is I angle this so it's impossible for a deflection to get me. And this is about 12 inches long, maybe something like that, kind of a normal hatchet size. Here we have a house axe. These could be, and another part of this, let me go back. Another part of this is how much the axe or hatchet weighs. The heavier it is, the harder it is to stop it when it's coming at you. So this is about a 2-pound axe. It's really a hatchet. But a house axe can be a full-size axe, which is, 3.5 pounds, 5 pounds. So the heavier it gets, the harder it is to control it after you swing it. And it's the same concept. And, maybe it'll hit you in the knee. Maybe it'll hit you right in the knee, which is awful. We don't want to do that. So we're always trying to make sure we understand where it can go if it deflects. Now, just deflecting off of this piece is one part of it, but there's also whatever's on the ground. You could slip, you could hit a branch that's above you. That's why we clear our area before we get to work. I don't always do that, but it's the best policy. And now we get a little longer. This is about 21, 22 inches. When we use something like this for splitting, we have to really make sure we are swinging so the handle is parallel to the ground. That's just to make sure that the arc of the swing doesn't go right into us. We also spread our legs to make sure that if we do screw up, it'll just go right between our legs. But that's really one of those contingency things. You don't want to be you don't want that to be the first thing that prevents you from getting injured. Really, the strategy to not get injured is to make sure the arc of the swing is not going towards you. And if it is, you're swinging very lightly. So that's another part of being safe with an axe, is you're only swinging as hard as you have to. When you swing as hard and fast as you can, you have a lot less control. Unless you're super experienced, I wouldn't advise swinging as hard as you can. 70% power, that's enough. Now here's a full-size axe on a 30-inch handle. This is what you use for bucking. You can use this for pretty much everything, but since there's a little less handle, there's a little less leverage. So this will do everything you want. This is a 30-inch handle, and you can make felling cuts with this very easily. And one thing you want to do with felling is make sure that you're not in line with the deflection. So let's just say this is the end of the tree. I go like this, and look, I'm right in line. So what you do is you go like this. Let me just move this. What you do is you're ahead of what you're swinging at. So if you do deflect, it goes like this. You see? When you're in line with it, it deflects right. It can deflect right into you. Right into you. So this is your all-around user. You can do everything with this. You could split, It's a little longer than that shorter 22. You really want to still make sure you're going parallel to the ground with something like this. And now we get into that big felling axe, about 35-inch handle. So anywhere from 32 up is probably a bigger axe handle, unless you're super tall. This is going to be for felling. This is going to be big trees, felling big trees or bucking huge trees. Really big stuff that almost nobody does. But this is mostly a splitter nowadays. So because of the longer handle, it's easier to make sure the axe doesn't hit you in the foot. That's probably the danger area for this. Is probably your shins and maybe your feet. And with something a little longer, you're just really worried about your feet. You can hit yourself in the shin. Don't get cocky. But with something like this, it's a lot easier to be safe when you're splitting on the ground. So if you're splitting something high up in the air like this, if I'm going like this, guess what happens if I miss? And I'm not seriously thinking about aiming at the ground. This thing could come right at you. And you'll see videos of a guy who's swinging real high up. He's just messing around at a stump, and he hits himself in the foot, and I think he chops some toes off. I wear sandals, no toes. I wouldn't advise wearing sandals. But yeah, so the higher up you're working, the more dangerous it is. That's why people fell trees very low, because there's a lot less risk. And so this is about 4¼ pounds. The heavier it gets, like I said, the harder it gets to control it after you swing it. And now we come up with a maul. Now this is a serious tool right here. This is 6 pounds, 6¾ pound. If you miss with this, it's going where it's going. You're not going to be able to control where it's going very much. That's why accuracy is important. That's why strategy is important. You got to make sure that you know where it's going to deflect. If you miss with this, it's going, and you're just going to be able to hold on for the ride. It's a serious tool. Anything over 5 pounds, if you're not super strong or super experienced, you really have no control after you swing. Let's see. Another part of all of this is how much bit you have. So the wider your bit is, the easier it is to be accurate, and you'll be able to predict what you're swinging at easier. When the bit's narrow, you might miss more than you think, and that axe could come right into you. So if you are a new axe user, you might want to go with something wider. What is a wide bit? To me, everything after 4 inches is a nice and wide bit. Really, you want 4½ probably. This is probably close to 4 3/4, 5 inches wide, maybe a little less. But this is a felling axe. Look how thin this is and long. So the bit length is from here to here. And that means that this is a felling axe. The shorter it is, the more fat it usually is, and it's probably good for splitting. So all in all, if you want to stay safe with an axe, the more information you know, the better. The more careful you are with your environment and how there's no tripping hazards, things like that. And you also want to be ready. If you do trip, you throw that axe. That's what you do. If you're falling, you make sure that axe isn't anywhere near you. And that's another reason why we don't really, some people, and I'm one of those people, I don't really like swinging an axe with someone too close to me. I want them far away. I want them to pay attention to me, and I need to pay attention to where they are at all times, because I've heard some horror stories. We're not just endangering ourselves. Other people can get hurt. The axe can fly off the handle, but that's pretty rare unless there's no taper to the eye. So the way that an axe head works is the bottom of the hole, which is called the eye. The bottom of the hole is tighter. It's a little smaller than the top. So when you put that wedge in the handle and spread out the handle like this, it's called a tongue, it locks it in. So even when it shrinks, it's still pretty locked in. But if you shrink an axe handle considerably, or if you hung it when it was super wet, it's going to shrink a lot. It can fly off the handle, and when someone's around you, it could really hurt them, especially when you get a really sharp axe. A lot of splitting axes aren't too sharp, so if you get hit with that, it's more like getting hit with a hammer, which can really suck. You can get a little injured, but you're probably not going to die from that unless, like, I don't know, some kind of freak accident. It would really take a freak accident. You'll see guys swinging sledgehammers, the handle breaks right here, handle will break right here, and they'll get hit right in the nuts. So that's unpleasant, but they didn't die unless there were some crazy complications. But if this broke at the handle, which is another possibility, and this thing came off, this could cut someone severely. So we always have to be mindful of who's around us. You know, I have a dog around me sometimes, and he runs through, like where I'm splitting. I try to get him away. I shoo him away. You know, dogs don't know how dangerous this is. Dogs are, actually, you know what? Some dogs are smarter than some humans about how dangerous this is. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. We fell trees, we split them, we cut them in half, we buck them. And all in all, we want to be as safe as we can, because these are very dangerous tools. A chainsaw is very dangerous, and so is an axe. It's no different. You have to respect it like a gun, basically. It's a very serious thing. That's why I try not to joke around exactly when I'm swinging. I've been a little more serious on here lately. I don't know if you guys like that. It seems like you guys kind of like me to be more serious. I'm trying to give out information. I'm trying to give out important information. I've been obsessed with this stuff for about 6 years, which isn't too long. Some guys have been swinging axes for, you know, decades. And we got to learn from these guys. I try to learn from them, and I'm trying to relay the information I get from those guys. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that did something for you.